The chamber of the Galactic Council was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Its walls shimmered with colors that no human artist could capture, shifting like liquid starlight. Voices echoed in the vast hall, some like thunder, others like whispers of glass breaking. It was here that the most powerful empires of the galaxy gathered, and it was here that humanity had come for the very first time. Ambassador Daniel Reyes stood at the center of the floor. His steps echoed faintly as he walked to the speaking platform. He was a tall man, though not the tallest in the chamber. His suit was plain, dark, and simple, so different from the shining robes, scaled armors, and crystalline cloaks of the alien delegates. But Reyes carried something greater than riches. He carried the weight of an entire species, the voice of Earth itself. As he placed his hand on the platform's surface, the lights focused on him. A hush fell. Thousands of alien eyes, some glowing, some shifting like smoke, some cold as metal, turned to watch. Reyes cleared his throat. His voice was steady, though his heart pounded. "Honored members of the council," he began. "I come before you today not as a conqueror, not as a beggar, but as a messenger of peace. Humanity is new to the stars. We come from a small blue planet on the edge of your maps. For thousands of years we fought each other. But in the end we learned. We united, we endured, and now we stand before you, hoping to join hands with the great civilizations of this galaxy." For a moment silence held, and then it came, a low hiss, a cruel laugh. The delegate of the Orcs, tall and covered in black spines, leaned forward. His jagged teeth glinted. "Peace from you? Your kind are still children crawling out of your mud. You speak of unity, yet your world is barely free from its wars." Murmurs spread across the chamber. The scaled Kuthari slammed his clawed hand on the railing, his golden eyes gleaming with mockery. "You dare stand here as if you are our equal? Your people are nothing. Your ships are weak. Your numbers are small. Even your sun will burn you out before you matter." Laughter rang from every corner of the hall. The crystalline Tarlith, whose bodies shimmered like sharp diamonds, chimed with cruel mirth. A fragile species of flesh and bone begging to be counted among the stars. What arrogance! What comedy! Reyes stood tall, though the sound cut deep. He looked at them, not with hate but with calm fire. "You see us as weak because we are new," he said, his voice rising above the laughter. "Yes, we are young compared to you, but do not mistake youth for helplessness. Humanity has crossed oceans with sails of cloth. We have survived plagues, storms, and wars that should have broken us. We have looked into the void of our own mistakes and chosen to rise again. Every trial that should have destroyed us only made us stronger." The laughter grew louder. The alien seats shook with scorn. Some covered their faces in mock delight. Others beat their hands against the railings, mocking applause. Reyes's chest burned. He felt the shame of every insult, the sting of every jeer. But he would not lower his head. He would not give them the satisfaction. "You call us beasts," he said, his voice steady now, his eyes fierce. "You call us savages. Perhaps you are right, we are beasts. But we are beasts who endure. We are savages who dream. And when we are mocked, we do not crawl away, we rise. Remember that." The chamber roared again, this time louder, crueler. The council leader, a creature of silver tendrils, raised a hand. "Enough, Earth is heard and Earth is dismissed." And with that, the lights dimmed on Reyes. He stood alone in the great hall as alien laughter echoed around him, carrying across the galaxy. On that day, humanity's envoy had spoken. And on that day, the galaxy chose to mock. But deep in his heart, Daniel Reyes knew something the council had yet to learn. Humanity might bend, but it never breaks. The humiliation of Earth's envoy spread faster than light. Within hours, alien channels across the galaxy were filled with clips of the council's laughter. Images of Daniel Reyes standing alone in the chamber became a cruel joke. He was called the beggar of dirt, the animal in a suit, and the soft-skinned fool. On Earth, billions watched in silence. Screens across cities and villages replayed the moment when Reyes was dismissed, his voice drowned out by mockery. Children stared with wide eyes, not understanding why their people were laughed at. Soldiers clenched their jaws. Scientists shook their heads in anger. Families whispered in frustration. At first, there was sorrow. People felt small. They felt unworthy. They asked themselves, were the aliens right? Are we too weak? Too young? But sorrow soon hardened into something else. In the markets of Lagos, merchants said, "They think we are nothing." In the factories of Berlin, workers muttered, "They laugh at us." In the streets of New Delhi, voices rose, "They do not know who we are." The anger was slow, but it spread like fire. It reached farmers in their fields, teachers in their classrooms, and soldiers in their barracks. Daniel Reyes returned to Earth broken. His shoulders, once straight, now carried the weight of shame. When he walked into the United Earth Assembly, no one clapped. They did not blame him. They blamed the galaxy. His voice trembled as he spoke. "I stood before them with peace in my hands. I offered respect. I offered friendship. They gave us laughter. They gave us scorn. I am sorry." The assembly sat in silence. Leaders from every nation, once divided by borders and pride, looked at one another. And for the first time, they shared the same thought. Enough. In that silence, the decision was born. Admiral Helena Tran, head of Earth's defense fleet, rose from her seat. Her voice was cold, like steel sharpened on stone. "They call us children. Then let us show them what children of Earth can do." Her words struck something deep. Generals nodded. Presidents clenched their fists. Scientists adjusted their glasses with new determination. The United Earth Assembly passed a single motion that day, one that would change history forever. It was not a motion for war, not yet. It was a motion for preparation, a motion to rise. Factories that once built cars and planes turned their machines toward starships. Scientists who once studied quiet theories turned their minds toward weapons and shields. Soldiers from every nation trained side by side, learning to fight not as rivals but as one people. On the streets, the people whispered. Some were afraid. Some were excited. All were united. Children drew pictures of starships with Earth's flag on their hulls. Workers sang songs as they built weapons for the future. Farmers donated food to feed the growing armies. For the first time in history, Earth was one voice, one heart, one purpose. Daniel Reyes watched from his home in quiet grief. He had wanted peace. He had wanted respect without blood. But as he looked at the news, factories glowing, soldiers marching, fleets rising, he understood. Humanity could not beg for respect. Humanity would have to take it. The humiliation that the aliens had poured over Earth had done something they did not expect. It had not broken humanity. It had woken it. In the skies above, the first new warships began to launch. Their hulls gleamed in the sunlight, and their engines roared like thunder, and the people of Earth, once mocked, once scorned, lifted their heads. They no longer whispered in shame. They whispered a promise. They will never laugh at us again. The decision had been made. Earth would no longer beg. Earth would no longer bow. The humiliation of the Envoy was still fresh in every heart, but now it burned like fuel. Across continents, humanity stirred with a new rhythm. The laughter of the aliens was remembered in every workshop, every classroom, every battlefield. And in silence, the world prepared. Factories that once produced goods for daily life now thundered with new purpose. Steel was shaped into armor for ships' engines and weapons. The glow of furnaces painted the night skies red, and the sound of hammers rang like drums of war. In the deserts of Nevada, massive shipyards rose from the dust. In the frozen wastes of Siberia, engineers tested engines that could bend space itself. In the oceans, hidden bases turned submarines into carriers for spacecraft. Humanity had been called primitive, but humanity's genius was now focused with deadly clarity. Admiral Helena Tran stood on a launch platform, her eyes watching as the first of Earth's warships rose into the sky. The vessel was not beautiful. It was sharp, angular, made for war and nothing else. Its cannons glowed with fierce power. Its engines roared like storms. She spoke softly, though her words carried in the wind. They wanted to see weakness. Instead, they will see us rise, and rise humanity did. Soldiers trained with relentless discipline. Old veterans scarred from wars on Earth taught young recruits how to endure, how to fight, how to never surrender. Generals from rival nations now sat at the same table, planning as one. Scientists, too, carried their weight. They worked day and night, inventing shields, weapons, and drives that bent the very fabric of space. Humanity had always been quick to adapt, quick to learn. Now that hunger was turned outward, against the galaxy that had mocked them. But this awakening was not only about war, it was about pride. On every street corner, posters showed Earth's flag stretched across the stars. Children memorized the names of the new fleets as if they were legends. Songs were written, songs that carried across radios and streets, songs that spoke of rising from the dirt to touch the stars. The world that had once fought itself was now united. Nations that had once been enemies shared resources and knowledge. There were no borders in the face of humiliation. There was only Earth. Daniel Reyes watched this change with heavy eyes. He had wanted peace, not war. Yet he could not deny what he saw. His failure at the council had become the spark of humanity's awakening. The shame he carried was now the foundation of a new age. One evening he stood on a balcony overlooking the launch of another warship. The engines lit the sky, casting golden fire across the horizon. A young soldier beside him spoke with fierce pride. "Sir, they thought we were weak. They thought they could laugh at us. But soon they will remember us. Soon they will fear us." Reyes said nothing. He only nodded. Deep inside, he prayed humanity would not lose itself to anger. But he also knew there was no turning back. The die had been cast. Everywhere the same words echoed, from villages in Africa to cities in Europe, from islands in the Pacific to deserts in the Middle East. The people whispered the same vow. Never again will humanity be mocked. The fleets grew. The armies swelled. The scientists pushed the boundaries of possibility. Humanity had awakened, and the galaxy would soon feel the storm that was coming. And in the silence between the stars, as the first human fleets left orbit, a message was carried in every heart. Respect will not be asked for. It will be taken. The galaxy did not notice at first. To them, Earth was still a small world on the edge of the maps, too young to matter. The Great Council continued its meetings, arguing about trade routes, territory, and power. To them, the humiliation of Earth's envoy was already forgotten, a small comedy in their long history, but humanity had not forgotten. From the black silence of space, the first human fleets gathered. Dozens of warships stood in formation, their hulls marked with the blue and white emblem of Earth. They were not sleek or beautiful like alien ships. They were hard, angular, built for survival, built for war. Inside, soldiers and officers sat ready, their hearts steady, their minds sharp. At the center of the fleet stood Admiral Helena Tran, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. She had seen Earth divided once, but never again. Now she commanded the strength of a united people. Her voice rang through the fleet's comms, calm and sharp as steel. Today we answer the laughter of the galaxy. Today they will see who we are. The order was given. Engines roared. The fleet cut through the void like knives, heading straight for the heart of Council space. On the Council's capital world, alarms screamed. Watchtowers blinked red as human ships entered orbit. At first the Council guards laughed. Earth, these are the mud children. Their fleet is nothing. But their laughter died when the first strike came. Human cannons lit up the skies. Precision fire tore through the alien defenses. Satellites burned and fell in showers of light. Council fleets scrambled to respond, but their formations collapsed under the disciplined fury of humanity's attack. In the Council chamber, chaos broke. Delegates shouted in panic as screens displayed the battle. Alien commanders barked orders, their voices sharp with disbelief. Impossible. How do they fight like this? The Vorix delegate hissed, his spines quivering. They were supposed to be weak, but weakness was nowhere to be found. Human ships moved with terrifying coordination. Every strike was calculated. Every loss was replaced by a counterattack. Where alien fleets relied on tradition and pride, humans relied on adaptation, on learning, on sheer refusal to lose. Admiral Tran's voice echoed across open channels. Her words carried to every alien ear. This is Earth's answer. You mocked us. You scorned us. You will mock us no longer. The alien fleets, once proud, now trembled. Ships that had once enforced the Council's will now burned in orbit, shattered by human firepower. The skies above the capital world turned red with fire and smoke, and yet humanity did not unleash blind destruction. Their weapons struck only military targets. Their ships avoided civilian zones. To the galaxy, this was a message. Humanity brought war, but not madness. They brought fury, but not cruelty. The Council chamber shook as explosions thundered outside. For the first time in centuries, the rulers of the galaxy felt fear. The Tarlith, their crystalline bodies trembling, whispered in horror. They were supposed to beg. Why are they here with fire? Because humanity had never been beggars. Humanity had always been survivors. Daniel Reyes, watching the battle from Earth, felt a storm of emotions. He had wanted peace, yet his humiliation had sparked this war. As he watched alien fleets crumble before humanity's might, he whispered to himself, "They gave us no choice." The first blood had been drawn. The galaxy, once laughing, was now silent in terror, and humanity's fleets glowing against the dark, prepared for what would come next. The storm had only begun. The first strike had shaken the galaxy, but it was only the beginning. Humanity did not stop at the Council's capital. Fleet after fleet spread outward, moving like fire through dry grass. The war of fear had begun. The Orcs were the first to fall. Their fleets had mocked Earth, boasting of strength. But when battle came, they crumbled. Human ships cut through their defenses with precision, tearing apart centuries of arrogance in days. On their homeworld, once filled with laughter at Earth's Envoy, silence now ruled. Orc soldiers surrendered by the thousands, their proud spines bent low. Next came the Kuthari. They were a warrior race, their claws sharp, their pride unshaken. But pride meant little against human discipline. Battles raged across their systems, and one by one their fortresses fell. The Kuthari had thought humans were beasts of chaos. Instead, they found soldiers who fought like storms, unpredictable yet unstoppable. The Tarlith, crystalline and cold, tried to resist with fleets of shimmering ships. Their weapons shattered like light against human armor. Their cities cracked under bombardments. For the first time in their long history, their crystalline voices broke in screams of fear. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. The humans do not stop. The humans do not break. The humans fight as if death itself obeys them. And yet humanity's war was not only destruction. Wherever they conquered, they did something no other empire had done. They rebuilt. On Vorix worlds, they left food and medicine. On Kuthari planets, they repaired water systems and hospitals. On Tarlith colonies, they gave shelter to civilians. Humanity's message was clear. We bring wrath to the arrogant, but hope to the broken. Admiral Helena Tran led with a steady hand. Her orders were sharp, her strategies brilliant. In every battle, she reminded her soldiers, "We fight not to destroy life, but to demand respect. Remember this." But even as she guided them, she felt the weight of what was happening. Billions across the galaxy now looked at Earth not as beggars, not as equals, but as storms in human form. In the United Earth Assembly, leaders watched reports of victory. Maps lit up with human-controlled systems. Faces were grim, not joyful. They understood what this meant. Humanity had earned fear, but fear was a dangerous crown. Daniel Reyes carried this weight more than anyone. The man who had once asked for peace now saw his people wielding war like a sword. He visited the soldiers before they launched, his voice soft but firm. "You fight for Earth, but remember, you also fight for the chance of peace. Do not lose yourselves in vengeance." Some listened, some did not. On the alien side, the panic grew. Old empires that had once sneered at Earth now sent envoys begging for peace. Smaller races that had lived under the Council's shadow looked to humanity as protectors. The galaxy was changing faster than anyone could control. Children across alien worlds drew human warships in the sky, whispering their names like legends. Merchants prayed for the day when Earth would arrive, not as conquerors but as guardians. The myth of humanity was being born, not through diplomacy but through fire and survival. But in quiet moments, humanity's leaders asked themselves, have we gone too far? Will we become what we hated? For now, those questions were left unanswered. The war of fear spread on, unstoppable. Humanity had been mocked, humiliated, dismissed. Now they were remembered as fire given flesh, storms given wings. The galaxy would never laugh again. The war was over. Human fleets, once doubted, now cast their shadows across the stars. Worlds that had laughed at Earth's name now whispered it with fear and respect. Where once humanity was called weak, now they were called something else, unstoppable. The council chamber, rebuilt after the battles, stood silent. No laughter filled its walls anymore. The seats were full, but every delegate sat in uneasy stillness. Their proud banners seemed smaller now. Their jeweled robes, once signs of power, looked fragile in the weight of what had come. The doors opened. Ambassador Daniel Reyes entered. The same man who had once been humiliated, mocked, and dismissed now walked with steady steps. His suit was still simple, still plain, but now every alien eye followed him with fear. No one laughed. No one dared. He stood once again at the center of the chamber. Memories rushed back. The cruel laughter, The mocking words, the shame that had burned him. But now there was no shame. He carried the strength of fleets, the pride of a united world, the respect earned by war. Reyes's voice filled the chamber, calm and steady. Years ago, I stood here before you. I came with peace in my hands. I came with respect for your history and your power. I asked for friendship. I asked for equality. You answered with laughter. He paused, his eyes sweeping over the silent delegates. Many could not meet his gaze. You called us savages. You called us children. You said we were animals from the dirt. Perhaps you were right. We are children of the dirt. But remember this, life is born from dirt. From the soil, strength grows. From the earth, fire rises. We are proof of that. Some of the delegates shifted nervously. The crystalline Tarlith lowered their glowing eyes. The proud Vorix coiled their spines in shame. The Kuthari's claws tapped weakly against the railing, but no words left their mouths. Reyes continued, his voice now stronger. When you laughed, you did not just insult me. You insulted my world. You insulted every child, every soldier, every family on earth, and so, humanity answered, not with begging, not with tears, but with war. We gave you the only language you understood. The silence deepened. The weight of truth pressed down on every alien present. But hear me now, Reyes said, his voice softening. We do not seek endless war. We do not seek to rule you. We do not wish to enslave or destroy. We ask only for what we asked before, respect. Treat us as equals or history will repeat itself. Remember the fire you woke when you mocked us. Remember the storm you unleashed when you dismissed us. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not break. His final words echoed through the chamber, sharp and unshakable. The council leader, a being of silver tendrils who had once silenced him with mockery, now bowed its head. Slowly, one by one, the other delegates followed. No one dared to laugh. No one dared to jeer. In that moment, humanity had risen higher than anyone thought possible. From dirt to stars, from shame to fear, from mockery to respect. This was their journey. Ambassador Reyes stepped back, his face calm. He had carried the weight of his people's humiliation. Now he carried their victory. Outside the chamber, human ships waited in orbit, silent and watchful. They were a reminder to the galaxy that peace was possible, but only with respect. The envoy who once left in shame now left in triumph. The galaxy had mocked him once. It would never mock humanity again. The stars were quiet. The guns of war had gone silent, and the smoke of battle drifted away into the endless night. Yet the memory of fire remained, written into the hearts of every race that had witnessed humanity's rise. On Earth, people no longer bowed their heads in shame. Children who once watched their envoy mocked, now watched fleets returning in victory. Families gathered in cities and villages, staring at the skies as ships re-entered the atmosphere, their hulls glowing like falling stars. Cheers rose in every language, blending into one sound, the voice of a united humanity. Admiral Helena Tran stood on the deck of her flagship as it returned to orbit. She had led her people through fire, and now she watched them celebrate below. For the first time in many years, her stern face softened. We showed them, she whispered. The galaxy knows who we are now. In classrooms across Earth, teachers told the story. They spoke of the day Daniel Reyes stood alone in the council, mocked and dismissed. They spoke of the humiliation, the anger, and the awakening. They told of the fleets that rose, the battles fought, and the moment the galaxy finally bowed. Children listened with wide eyes. To them, this was no longer just history. It was legend. But even in victory, humanity remembered its promise. Where alien worlds had been crushed by war, human engineers stayed behind. They rebuilt homes, planted crops, healed wounds. Doctors from Earth treated alien children with the same care as their own. Soldiers shared food with those who had once been enemies. The message spread. Humanity does not conquer to destroy. Humanity conquers to be respected. In the council chamber, the memory of Reyes's speech still hung in the air. The delegates who had once laughed now spoke carefully when Earth was mentioned. They no longer used the word children. They no longer said animals. Now, they spoke one word with heavy respect, humans. And Daniel Reyes, the man who had carried the weight of shame, now carried something else, pride. He no longer walked with lowered shoulders. He walked tall, knowing that he had been the spark. He had asked for peace and been given scorn, but his voice had awakened the fire of an entire world. Late at night, he stood by his window, looking at the stars. It should not have come to this, he whispered. But perhaps this was the only way. His heart carried sorrow for the lives lost, but also hope that now perhaps the galaxy would learn. Beyond Earth, alien children grew up hearing stories of humans. Some were told in fear, "Do not mock them or they will bring fire." Others were told in respect, "Do not underestimate them, for they will rise." Either way, humanity was no longer invisible. Their name carried weight. The galaxy had mocked Earth's envoy. It had laughed at the children of dirt. But in the end, the laughter had died. Humanity had risen like storms breaking the sky, like fire tearing through the night. And in their rise, they had changed everything. Generations later, when new envoys stood in the council, the memory of that first humiliation would remain. And so would the lesson. Never mock the children of Earth. Never laugh at the beasts who dream. For when humanity answers, the stars themselves tremble.